super friends, and welcome to this, the 32nd episode of the GYCO Podcast. My name is Neil, and I am here with my usual co-host extraordinaire, Martin. Say hello, Martin.
Hello, Martin.
And what are we going to be talking to the lovely listeners at home about this week?
Stuff and things.
That's on the wall behind you. So that would be a little bit of news. Reviewing this week, we're talking about The Invisible Man, Vivarium, and Disney Pixar's Onward. I'm going to talk a little bit about London Film and Comic Con that I went to at the weekend. And we have an interview this week.
Ooh.
Yes, with friend of the show, Pajama Boy Wonder, cosplayer extraordinaire. I've used that word twice now. So, on with the news. Leicester Square in London got a bit of an upgrade in the last week with the launch of some really cool new bronze statues which have been put around the gardens to celebrate the history of cinema. So we went and had a walk round, didn't we, and had a look at some of those. You've got a very, very cool statue of Batman which is looking over Leicester Square from the top of the Odeon Cinema. If you know the geography of Leicester Square, this might make a bit more sense to you. So you've got a ticket booth for the theatres that's got a statue of Laurel and Hardy on top of it. In the middle of the gardens, there's Paddington Bear, Mr. Bean, and Charlie Chaplin. Then around the outside of the garden, you've also got Mary Poppins, Gene Kelly, who I keep wanting to call Gene Wilder, and Bugs Bunny. And then there's a Wonder Woman, but she's a bit unfortunate, isn't she?
Yeah, it's a bit sad because she's a sort of...
It's a very cool statue, and it's the only
away.
one that has anything different about it. So it's most of them are in sort of positions that are like Batman's just imposingly looking over the square. Mary Poppins is flying away with the umbrella in her hand. Wonder Woman is crashing through a wall with her lasso of truth around her, which actually lights up. None of the others have light up elements or anything like that. I suppose Bugs Bunny's got his carrots around him. But she's kind of around the corner from the square and in a side street crashing through the side of the View Cinema.
Just sad, really, because I thought it should be somewhere a bit more up front and in your face.
There's a bit of upheaval about the fact that there's no Superman. You
Really?
want to overload it with DC superheroes, though, because they're trying to talk about, cinema from various different areas. So if you're going to have a couple of superheroes, and it's Warner Brothers, Wonder Woman's a good one to have, given, she's got a film coming out and is somebody that's very much in the public conscious. What did you think of them?
I really liked them.
They're really nicely done.
I really like the Batman because it's... If you sort of double glance, you're like, oh god, there's somebody up there.
Yeah. I looked at it I went back and looked at them again on the Saturday, and in daylight, I don't think it is Christian Bale's Batman. I think it's more of a comic book-ish type Batman. I don't think it's any specific type of Batman. It almost looked a bit Arkham-like in a way, whereas Wonder Woman is quite clearly Gal Gadot. The likenesses are very cool though. Mr. Bean is eerily Mr. Bean-like. Beanie. No, that's not my auntie. I think they're a permanent display. I don't think there's a timescale on when they're going to disappear or anything. I think they're there for the foreseeable future. It's part of just Leicester Square celebrating its heritage, particularly with all the cinemas around it. So I highly recommend that you, if you're in London or live in London or are going to be in London for any period of time in the next few weeks or months, head down to Leicester Square and make sure to check them out. Spend a bit of time, make sure and take some pictures. You can sit next to Paddington, which I did until I realised that the bench was wet because it was chucking it down with rain.
Oh, you hope it was rain.
It was rain. So I deleted that photo because I just looked a bit sad.
I've never really watched Paddington.
There is a weird photo of me on Twitter with Mr. Bean, though. I look like my head is sort of morphed out of his shoulder.
Hello.
Slightly less.
That was a bad Mr. Bean.
It was. It should be more like
hello. Mr. Bean.
Less happy news this week from DC Comics is the news that Dan DiDio, not Dor DiDio, as you read from the whiteboard earlier.
Poor left-handed penmanship.
Try writing on a whiteboard with a left hand, you smudge. Dan DiDio is no longer working at DC Comics and has left his role as co-publisher, leaving Jim Lee sole publisher in the company at this point in time. We don't know exactly why. No statement has come from DC to discuss it. At the C2E2 convention over the weekend, Jim did the Meet the Publishers panel where they might as well just have gone through all the programs and crossed out the S to make it Meet the Publisher. He didn't really touch on it. He just discussed the future of the company, which is very much safe. If you've heard the rumour from we haven't got a clue, aka we've got this covered,
Oh.
that DC is being bought by Marvel or being sold off by AT&T. Just don't believe the crap that comes from some people's mouths. It's very much safe. They've got lots of plans for film, TV, everything. There was a really nice panel for DC Universe where they showed the first episode of season 2 of Harley Quinn, which apparently blew people's minds. Anyway, we're talking about Dan. I love Dan. He's such a massive personality, especially on those panels. It'll be sad not having him there.
So has he left DC completely?
As far as we are aware, he left the company with immediate effect.
So he's not doing any of the...
He was working on Metal Men.
Metal Man. I was going to say Robot
which I think
Man.
has already started coming out.
Because that was his thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's unclear as to whether he will be finishing that or not. He has spoken on Facebook briefly and Instagram, but he just thanked people for the love and attention. There was a very, very strange rumour that went around saying it was essentially Scott Snyder who got rid of him, saying that him and Scott didn't get on, and Dan was masterminding apparently another reboot, like the next thing on from Rebirth, which was going to be this 5th generation thing that was going to happen later this year. That would supposedly have annoyed a lot of people because it was going to replace people as Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. But the 5th generation was always described as the era of the Legion of Superheroes. So I don't see why there wouldn't be another Batman or Wonder Woman at that point in the future anyway. So I don't think we knew enough about it to know whether it was going to be a bad thing or not. But supposedly Dan wanted to launch that through Snyder's Dark Knight's Death Metal. And Snyder supposedly really didn't want him to, and apparently they clashed over it a lot. All rumour, Snyder denied it. However, there is an open slot for a co-publisher. Scott Snyder, new job anyone? Co-publisher at DC? Would be very cool.
I thought you meant yourself.
Oh, I can totally do that job.
I'd have a go.
I feel like I've just monopolised the conversation slightly. How do you feel about it? Tell me how you're feeling.
Tired. A little grumpy.
Are you grumpy because Dan's leaving?
No, just because it's Monday, really.
Okay.
God, I'm like Garfield. I just don't like them. I don't like a Monday. I do like a lasagna, though.
Okay. Alright, I'm going to move on.
No, it's very sad about Dan. We wish him all the best for what he does next.
Yes, absolutely. Last news story that I wanted to cover, because we've not got a lot of time this week, is the announcement, which came a couple of weeks ago now, of the Joker live concert tour. Very much looking forward to this. Tickets have arrived. So this is a live orchestra performing, and I'm going to have to try and pronounce her name, Hilda Gottadeder.
Oh, I love Hilda.
Yep.
Hills.
Her Oscar and BAFTA and every other award-winning score for Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. It's a very difficult surname to pronounce. Look, I'm going to show you it on my phone. So it's Gudnadottir. Gudnadottir.
Oh God, I don't even know what that accent is.
It's excellent. It's a brilliant surname. So you'll be able to watch the film projected live over an orchestra as they perform the score. So it's premiering in London, and that's the world premiere of Joker Live, and that's on the 30th of April at the Eventum Apollo, where we'll be there. And we are getting... we're going to be conducted, I'm waving my hand around to try and figure out what the word is, by the person that conducted the orchestra in the studio when they recorded the score.
No, not us.
Yes, our concert will have...
But not us.
Not us personally.
Yeah. Sit over there in full time.
And then there's going to be somebody else that's going to conduct for the rest of the tour. So after London, it moves to Birmingham Symphony Hall on the 15th of May, Hull Bonus Arena on the 16th of May, the York Barbican on the 17th, the Boardgaze Energy Theatre in Dublin on the 19th of May. On the 21st of... Oh, then it jumps to the 21st of June, so there's a bit of a gap. So 21st of June is the Millennium Centre in Cardiff. 24th of June is Sheffield City Hall. 25th of June, Manchester Bridgewater Hall. 28th of June, the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall. 29th of June is Southend Cliffs Pavilion. 30th of June, it goes to the Forum in Bath. 1st of July is the Brighton Dome. 2nd of July is the Poole Lighthouse. Then the 5th of July is the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. And then it's ending its UK tour on the 6th of July, the Edinburgh Usher Hall.
Oh, what a fine venue to end in.
Isn't it just? And then it will be going on a full European and eventually US tour as well. You can grab your tickets for Joker Live now from ticketmaster.co.uk. But I think it's going to be interesting to hear that music played live.
Oh, I'd love to see it in Edinburgh.
Well, let's book tickets to go to the Usher Hall.
I love the Usher Hall.
Do you want to go to Edinburgh at the beginning of July? Just in time for your mum's birthday.
Yeah, maybe.
How do you think it's going to translate to being played live? Because it's very cello based. It's not. You wouldn't say it's classically. It's not. There's no brass or anything in there. It's not going to be a full orchestra. It's very much strings. How do you think it will translate to being played live?
I feel like it's going to be one of those things where we realise how little music there actually is. Like when we went to see Jurassic Park and the orchestra didn't do a whole lot.
Maybe.
Because it was either that or it's going to be just cello.
Cello. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's incredibly impactful and emotive, hearing some of that music played live.
I'm sure it will be. All the feels.
Maybe not all the feels.
From the cello.
A lot of the feels, but not all of them. Let's not forget it is an incredibly disturbing film at the same time.
Well, gets you thinking.
If you are going to go and check out Joker Live, let us know. Love to hear from you. If not, go grab your tickets because I cannot recommend how awesome it will be to see that film on a big screen in a concert hall with an orchestra. If you're going to go, let us know. We'd love to know who's going out there so that we can maybe say hello if you're in London, not cello, and hear your thoughts on the whole thing.
Go see it in Edinburgh.
Oh, go see it in Edinburgh. Yes, Usher Hall. Lovely venue. I've been.
Have you?
I think so.
When?
Didn't you graduate there?
No.
Where did you graduate?
That was the festival hall.
What's
festival
the difference?
theatre. Quite a difference.
Which one's the Usher Hall?
The big dome one.
Oh, I've not been there.
No, it's lovely.
That is it for the news this week. Let's crack on with our first film review. First up in the film reviews this week, we're going to be talking about The Invisible Man, which, I went to see by myself because obviously it's a horror film, and that is a big old no from you, Martin. Before I get down to talking about this one, let's have a little listen to a clip from the film.
Adrian. He was a sociopath. He said that I could never leave him. He controlled how I looked and what I wore. Then it was controlling when I left the house. And eventually, what I thought. I'm sorry, I can't take you with me. I'm not gonna leave you with that thing on. Are you okay?
The Invisible Man is directed by Lee Wannell, and it stars Elizabeth Moss as Cecilia Cass, Oliver Jackson Cohen as Adrian Griffin, co-starring are Harriet Dyer, Aldous Hodge, and Storm Reed. The film is from Blumhouse and Universal Pictures, and it is in cinemas now. It's also top of the box office at the moment. Did really well over the weekend. Took itself in around 29 million, I believe, in the US. It's still estimated until we get the final numbers. And around 40 to 50 million from the worldwide box office. So a great start for this latest Universal horror film. The synopsis of this one is not quite what you would expect. It doesn't, although it is based on the H.G. Wells original short story. It does not directly adapt that. It is not a remake of the I'm not going to get the year right now. The original 1933, I think it is, black and white movie. It takes a slightly different spin on the story. So a synopsis for this reads: when Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she's being hunted by someone that nobody can see. And I have to say, I went to see a press screening of this one a few days before it came out. I went into it thinking that I had enjoyed the trailer. I liked that it was going to do something slightly different, rather than just be, another remake or a fairly close spin on the black and white original, and I came out of it thoroughly impressed with what they had been able to do with it. I didn't actually review this one on the website. If you want to see the website review, that was written by James. He scored this film an 8.5 out of 10. Very specific, I know, but thank you, James. He agreed with me that it is, on the whole, an excellent film. It's very, very tense. It's the kind of film where you are on the edge of your seat for much of it. Not necessarily because it's scary. I would actually say that this is more of a thriller than a horror film, but it's the level of terror that Elizabeth Moss is able to put across as Cecilia, as she begins to realise that she's not necessarily going mad and that there are other things going on around her. So I don't want to spoil this one too much as it's quite fresh in the cinema, but as the trailer and as the synopsis alludes to, her partner, I was meant to call him Oliver, that would be the actor's name, so Adrian Griffin, which is obviously a spin on the original name from the original story, is the same kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He's not. I'm going to call him an optician. He's not an optician. He's the same kind of genius level intellect that he is from the original story, and he is an inventor. But he is pitched here as very much the modern kind of archetypal abusive boyfriend. So we don't see a huge amount of that abuse. There's a kind of, I guess, inciting incident at the beginning of the film that sets the ball in motion for what comes next. But we learn most of the history of Adrian and Cecilia through Elizabeth Moss and through her interactions with Aldous Hodge's character James and Harriet Dyer's character Emily, who is Cecilia's sister. All of that exposition comes from those interactions. There's also Storm Reed, who's Sydney, James's daughter. As Cecilia builds relationships with those, you can see, and the film very much plays her as somebody who is recovering from an abusive relationship, and it's handled really well. This isn't the kind of horror thriller that is very, I guess, for want of a better term, schlocky. It's very delicate and measured in how it portrays its characters, because it does want to ground itself in a very normal reality outside of the Invisible Man. I'm saying that in air quotes. The titular Invisible Man. And so we see some very real situations whereby she learns that Adrian has committed suicide, and she even sees a photograph of his body. She learns that she is to inherit his fortune, and that's when things begin to take a turn. Now, unfortunately, some of the key moments are given away in the trailer. Particularly, there's a moment where you see her spill paint on the Invisible Man, and you're able to see that it is somebody in some kind of suit. This is not your Invisible Man wearing bandages, put it that way. There is a lot more to it, and there's a lot of science behind it, as well as a lot of character interaction behind it. But on the whole, it is an absolutely brilliant film. I was amazed to read that the budget, and I'm going to have to look this up as we're talking to you, the budget is under 10 million for this film. I believe it's 9 million. 9 million US dollars. This film knows exactly how to use every penny on screen to make it look the best that it can for that kind of budget. There are a couple of moments when the Invisible Man looks a little bit CGI, which I think sounds odd, but it makes sense in the context of how you see him. But on the whole, he is rendered as an excellent character. And what this film does very brilliantly and very disturbingly is that it doesn't... Whenever he's in a room, he's not filmed in a manner whereby you could see maybe Cecilia, Elizabeth Moss's character, in the front of the frame, and there's some sort of shimmer in the background, or the background slightly moves, or there's no effect to that as the Invisible Man is moving around. It's very much you don't know that he is there. You can't see him unless his footprints depress the carpet, or something moves or makes a noise. There's no way to know that he is there. So there are plenty of times in this film where she feels she's being watched that she may actually not be. It will leave you feeling like maybe even you need to look over your shoulder because there might be somebody in the room, or feeling slightly disturbed. It very much builds a picture where we could even question whether there would be some sort of third act twist whereby Cecilia is actually completely nuts and he really is dead and there is no invisible man. It could have happened. I mean, it doesn't, but it very easily could have. And it's brilliant in that respect. The way that Lee Wannell wrote the screenplay, it's just very intelligent. It doesn't pander to its audience in that it doesn't spoon feed you any information. There is a lot that you need to put together as you're going along, and you will second guess yourself on a number of occasions as to what is actually going on. Now, I will say that the plot is fairly predictable at times. There were certain key points where we kind of turned to each other, those of us that were there, and sort of said, oh, you know, this is what's going to happen next, and it did. But that is by no means a knock on this film, because although those major plot points might be slightly predictable, there are plenty of twists and turns within, or moments that are unexpected, that it's still incredibly enjoyable. I think favourite moments, it's difficult to say without spoiling it. There's a scene in a restaurant between Cecilia and her sister Emily, which is, I mean, it completely came out of nowhere, and that was a moment where I just went and sort of jumped out of my seat a little bit. And there were a number of times when people in the cinema did gasp, which was quite interesting. Other highlight moments for me, the final sequence, which I'm not going to say anything about because it would spoil too much of the film, is brilliant and twists the whole story once again. So it ends on a very interesting note. The score is excellent. I'm going to forget this. It's Benjamin Wallfish, I think, that did the score for Shazam, but I'm going to have to double check while I'm saying this. Yes, Benjamin Wallfish was the composer. His score is excellent. It's incredibly dramatic. I've not had a chance to listen to it yet since the film came out, but it was some excellent work by him. Elizabeth Moss is absolutely outstanding as Cecilia. There is no kind of weak link in this cast whatsoever. Her relationships are very real. Her emotions are very real. It's all portrayed brilliantly. My only thing, and this is really weird, and I've said it to a number of people, and I need to go back and see the film to see how I react to it a second time, but there is a particular scene where Cecilia has kind of realised that she's being watched, and something has happened. She's alone in the house, and she throws coffee beans all over the floor, so that if Adrian is going to find her, he's going to have to step across them, and obviously it will make noise. So she's kind of cowering in the corner of a room, crying and quite kind of hyped up and upset about the whole thing. And she's sort of screaming at him, saying, "I know you're there! I know you're there!" And she does this thing, and I'm not going to quote it directly because I can't quite remember the line off the top of my head. But she says something along the lines of, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm just a suburban girl who you met at a party." And I don't know what it is, but something about that line I just really didn't like when I saw it at the time. It felt as if she was just doing something that felt like she was reading a synopsis for her own character, or like a character bio for Cecilia. I don't know, it just didn't quite sit with me. But that is incredibly pernickety and would be the only thing about the film that I could say was a slight knock. Other than that, I absolutely highly recommend that you go and see The Invisible Man. So just to remind you, actually, let me give you a score. So James, in his review, which you can check out on the website now, www.getyourcomiccon.co.uk, he gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I would go with, I'd probably go with the same, but I don't tend to do half scores anymore for some reason. So I would give this an 8 out of 10. The Invisible Man, directed by Lee Wannell and starring Elizabeth Moss, is in cinemas now. Next up on the old film reviews, I am going to tell you about another film which I watched by myself. It's been one of those weeks or fortnights for me only watching films by myself. Going to review a film which is coming out on March 27th, 2020 in the UK. It is directed by Lorcan Finnegan and stars Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots, and it is called Vivarium. Before I tell you about this one, as always, have a little listen to a clip.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Yonder, a wonderful development. It has all you'd need and all you'd want. Number 9. Number 9 is not a starter home. This house is forever.
Play for a boy.
Do you have children?
No. It's not exactly what we're looking for. That guy was so strange.
Yeah. Wait. No, I don't think this is the right way.
Yeah, this is the way we came in.
Number 9 again. Did we just do some kind of loop?
How if we just...
Want me to drive?
Such a jerk.
Because I think this is not possible. We can't make turns like this over and over.
We have gone this way, Tom. Oh my god.
The synopsis for this film is a young couple looking for the perfect home find themselves trapped in a mysterious labyrinth-like neighbourhood of identical houses. So as I have said, this stars Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots. It also stars Jonathan Aris and a number of Jonathan Aris sort of like clones at different stages of life. This is a tough one to describe. So I was recommended this film by another reviewer, Ben, thank you very much. And I got in touch with the PR company who were representing it and said I would love to check it out. And they sent me over a copy to watch at home. It premiered, I think it was at Cannes Film Festival last year, and has been out in a couple of other countries, and it's finally making its way to the UK at the end of March. It is really bloody interesting. It's kind of like watching an episode of Black Mirror with some of the sensibility of Doom Patrol, if that makes sense. It's got a very dreamlike quality to it, and some of the set design, particularly once they reach this kind of neighborhood where they get trapped, reminded me of when Crazy Jane and Robot Man ended up inside the snow globe in Doom Patrol, and that's why I say there's a Doom Patrol element to it. Other than that, this is almost purely like Black Mirror stuff that's going on. But it is a really compelling watch. It presents a really interesting twist on kind of the family unit, and I guess a very interesting statement on mass-marketed society in a way. So, Imogen Poots' character Gemma is a school teacher, and she is in a long-term relationship with Jesse Eisenberg's character Tom. They're currently kind of living in a flat and looking for somewhere to kind of to start a family. They're not married yet that I'm aware of or can remember. They don't have kids, and they kind of, when kids are mentioned by Jonathan Aris when they go to visit this house, it's very much like, oh, whoa, not yet. We are not there yet. And you feel like you're being set up to watch almost maybe, I don't know, you really don't know how to call it right from the very beginning, because it doesn't feel like anything else you've watched. There are some real indie film sensibilities to it, and you can tell that it's filmed on a low budget, but it's done really, really well. And it just sends you around in circles because you don't know what is going on. You feel very much like you're in the same position as the characters in the film. So they go to visit this house as they're kind of having a look round, kind of thinking that this neighborhood is all a bit generic and repetitive. The guy that's showing them around, Martin, who's played by Jonathan Aris, has completely disappeared. So they head back to their car. They try and drive home. They can't find their way out. They're driving around in circles and circles and circles. The sun goes down. The car runs out of petrol. Nothing that happens isn't something that you've not seen before, but the way it's all combined together, it just feels very different. So once they've run out of petrol, they do all those things where they climb up on the roof to try and see which direction is the way to go, and there's houses as far as the eye can see, and essentially you suddenly realise that actually there's a lot more going on here, as you then discover that they're stuck in this loop. And this is when the weirdness starts. If this isn't weird enough already, this is when the weirdness really starts to come into it. So things start happening, like food is delivered to them, so that they don't starve to death while they're stuck in this house. And then a baby is delivered to them, and it's sort of alluded to that actually, if they raise the baby, then maybe they'll be set free. And I guess it all ties back into the title of the film, which, as I said, is Vivarium. I'm going to look this up in the dictionary for you right now so that I can explain to you exactly what Vivarium means. And funnily enough, my internet history, the top result when I type in dictionary is Vivarium. So the word Vivarium, or Vivarium, depending on how you pronounce it, is a place such as a laboratory where live animals or plants are kept under conditions simulating their natural environment as for research. And that's exactly what happens. You realise as things kind of transpire and as events move on that actually somebody is pulling the strings behind what's happening. And, you know, this is some kind of social experiment. And I couldn't call it as to who it is because it's not explicitly said. They could be aliens, they could be demons, they could be some weird genetically modified humans. It's that kind of film that doesn't feel that it's necessary to tell you everything. It expects that its audience is intelligent enough to be able to enjoy what they're given and can spend the next few weeks theorizing over the water cooler at work about what was actually going on in the background. It's very intelligent, it's very cleverly written, and does not, much like I was just saying about The Invisible Man earlier, it doesn't spoon feed you any kind of information that says, okay, this is actually what's going on. It doesn't lay the plot out for you. You are expected to put this together. It is very disturbing. It gets more disturbing as the time runs on. It's I'm trying to remember the runtime. It's 1 hour 37, and obviously the longer they're stuck in this place, the more the relationship between the two of them is tested, and Tom in particular struggles to be able to just settle into this life, particularly with the weirdness of the child, who does grow up in stages. So Shonen Jennings, I've probably pronounced that wrong, plays the boy, and then Aina Hardwick plays a slightly older version of the boy. And there's a lot of weirdness that goes on there, and I'm not going to tell you all of it because it's so worth watching. But it's the social experiment aspect of the story is what brings some of the best points of the plot. So Tom's reaction to being in there for that period of time is very, very different to Gemma's. So Gemma is very maternal. She wants to look after the child. That puts her at odds with Tom and eventually leads to, I guess you could say, the breakdown of their relationship, although not fully. And it leads to him really desperately trying to escape from this place. And I really don't want to spoil it because the third act of the film is absolutely bonkers brilliant. But let's just say when he starts to dig a hole in the garden, things really do take a turn. And by the end, you realise that they're in this huge kind of ant farm-like environment, which isn't necessarily hugely important to the plot, but is a great twist in terms of the scientific experiment that's going on behind the scenes. It's very much focused on the characters and their reactions, but there are interesting bits of plot for those who are interested in finding out what's happening in the wider world. You can hear me umming and ahhing because I'm trying to find the best words to be able to describe exactly how this film is, other than just saying it's flipping brilliant. There's a lot of commentary on life goals and the gender roles within parenting, as well as this whole idea of kind of mass-marketed, capitalist, like generic kind of cookie cutter life as it is. If you are willing to embrace the kookiness of the set design and the Black Mirror-esque nature of it all, then this is a film that you will thoroughly enjoy. I haven't written my review of it yet. I'm still working on it. This is going to be the kind of film that I think I give probably it's either going to be a 7 or an 8 out of 10. But honestly, it's so worth a watch. It's that kind of film that I don't always get to watch, and I took myself, I took myself out of my normal comfort zone and hunted down a copy of it through the PR company to make sure I got a chance to watch it before it was released, and it's so worth it. Absolutely so worth it. So please go check it out and enjoy it, and let me know what you think. So once you've seen this film, which, just to remind you, is out on the 27th of March 2020, drop me a line, either through my own personal Twitter, which is @NeilVag, or via our channel, which is @GetYourComicCon on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. And let me know what you think, because I'll be really interested to know your thoughts. Now, we promised this issue that we were going to do something we haven't done for a couple of months, which is review a comic book. Now, as you'll pretty much gather from the description down below of this episode, that we're sort of erring on the side of horror, apart from Onward, which we weren't invited, so I was a +1. So I thought, as I'm talking about so much film, I'm going to throw it to just you to talk about comic book this week. I won't do a comic book. I will save that for a later date. I'm doing all the filmy things. You can do the comic book thing. Over to you, Martin. What are we talking about?
So it's me now.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's when I said over to you, Martin. That's pretty much what I meant.
I phase out sometimes because you do talk a bit. So I'm going to be talking about, for a change, I already read certain things, and I tend to talk about the same things all the time. Let me guess.
Is it DC?
Yes.
Let me guess. Does it star a Robin?
No.
Oh. Doom Patrol?
No.
Enlighten us.
So I'm going to go for John Constantine.
Way.
Hellblazer.
Classic or new?
New. So the new DC Black Label Sandman universe line.
I've not read any of this, so do enlighten me.
So this is a new line, as I said. So it's an interesting concept. So it's the Sandman universe, which I'll be honest, I haven't read any of the Sandman universe.
Yep.
And they've just plopped John Constantine into it.
They're also about to plop Joe Hill's Lock and Key into it as well, which has just become a very successful Netflix series.
Has it?
Yes.
Oh, is that, yeah.
We've not watched it.
No, I didn't realise that was DC.
It's not.
Or is it Vertigo?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's about to be.
Why don't you know? These are things you should know.
I don't know who published Lock and Key. Oh dear. Continue talking.
While you look at that, we'll talk a little bit more about John Constantine. So we're up to issue 4 now. So I'm just going to talk about the first sort of story arc in general, really.
It's IDW Lock and Key.
Oh.
And IDW and DC do obviously collaborate on things like Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So Lock and Key are shortly coming into the Sandman universe. Don't know if that involves Constantine. Please continue.
I'm not sure. I mean, because it's a black label, so it could just be a standalone story within the Sandman universe for Constantine. But anyway, so it was written by Simon Spereri. Pencils by Aaron Campbell, and ink is also by Aaron Campbell as well, actually. And it's quite a nice little story. It's a very gritty, true Constantine story. Should I give you a bit of the synopsis?
Go for it.
John Constantine is back in London. Bloody hell. I've added that bit in.
Okay.
Bit of cockney flair. Back to his old tricks and just in time as things have become very dark indeed in his old stomping ground. A small-time gang lord has found himself dealing with a big-time outbreak of supernatural weirdness. And without any allies to call and nothing left to call his own...
The voice is slipping.
It is a little bit, sorry. I'm trying to read and do a voice at the same time. John doesn't have much choice about about taking a paycheck from one of London's worst or accepting the help of one of the gang lord's would-be foot soldiers. But what should an open and shut exorcism turn out to be nothing but...
Go on. ...
Oh,
okay.
And the author of Madness may just be getting started on their terrible masterpiece. So it's quite cool.
I'm not sure I followed any of that synopsis just because of the voice.
It was a bit broken. Essentially, he's back in London.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit sort of on the fly, dodging about, and he gets wrapped up in this sort of Peckham Rye gang thing.
Oh God, they're just down the road.
I know, it's just down the road. I was like, bloody hell, I go past that in the train.
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell.
This isn't Harry Potter.
I know. But it's really cool. So it turns out that there's this sort of... Really cool. There's this like angel/demon in Peckham Common knocking off all the gangbangers as they're coming through.
Okay.
And it kind of, the story unfolds. It turns out it's not really an angel, it's something else, and it's quite interesting. And you know, you get to see the sort of the lighter side of John as well, where he comes across as this sort of like, I don't care, but actually it's got a bit of a softer touch, and he develops a new sort of driver and things. So it's quite an interesting storyline. Artwork wise is really interesting. It's quite harsh.
I think I may have read issue number 1. Because I'm just looking at some preview artwork on my phone, and I'm pretty sure I read the first one, but I didn't read any more.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the artwork, actually. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm about to show you book 4, which looks nothing like book 1, 2, and 3, so I won't bother.
Is it different artist in book 4?
Slightly different artist. Yes, it is. But the first 3 have this really nice sort of quite dark, quite horrific style about it, and it fits really well with the story, and I quite liked it.
Are these first 4 issues a complete arc, or are we not at the end of it as yet?
So I would say the first 3 issues are a complete story of the Peckham gangland.
Yeah.
And then issue 4 introduces a bigger issue. So we know that this sort of incident in Peckham Common wasn't isolated.
Oh, okay.
So there's a bigger...
So there's a wider story going on.
There's a wider story going on. There's a bigger evil in London. It's quite a funny episode. It's not a TV series.
It's not, no.
It's a really funny issue because John bumps into some sort of like new age hippie magician in London. So he's got a man bun, chakra and stuff. And you can imagine the response he gets from him.
I can.
And there's a couple of funny panels where it's like, oh, I'm going to take him to the boozer and I'm going to get him wasted, and he'll realise how much of a lightweight that he really is. And it's quite funny as you go through the panels. It comes to goes like pint 1, pint 5, pint 10.
Okay, so it's got a good sense of humour to it as well.
John's upside down, and this new age guy is not touched the sides with all the booze. It's quite funny. I quite like it.
Are you? How do I phrase this? Because there aren't that many people that have played Constantine. When you read Constantine, do you hear Matt Ryan's voice?
No.
What do you hear?
My version of John Constantine.
Oh, what does your version of John Constantine sound like?
Well, I don't know. It's in my head. I don't hear Matt.
Does it sound like you doing a Cockney accent?
No.
See, you know.
Bloody hell. Bit of magic. Can you, Adam and Eve it? Bloody ghost.
Right.
No, he doesn't sound like that in my head.
You know how I was... we were talking last episode about Margot Robbie, and I was saying that in some respects I actually hear Margot Robbie's voice when I read Harley Quinn. Or, do you hear Tara Strong's voice? Do you hear any of those other actors that played her? I do feel like Matt Ryan is the voice of Constantine in my head.
Yeah, he's not... Yeah. Not for me. But then...
Just a question.
I don't know, really. No, I've never really thought about it like that.
Anything else that you want to say about John Constantine Hellblazer?
No, I just think it's a really good comic to pick up. It doesn't require you to have an in-depth working knowledge of his backstory.
That's good.
It's a nice thing you can just sort of pick up and go straight into it, really.
I like that DC is making a real effort to keep him present at the moment. I feel like there was a long period of time where he wasn't really in comics all that much. But over the last few years, I feel like there's been because we've had a Hellblazer. Obviously, Hellblazer was the original that he came from. We had a Hellblazer a few years ago, didn't we? And then we had Constantine New 52. There's been a Constantine Hellblazer. And then, am I right in thinking there's been both a Constantine and a Hellblazer in Rebirth era as well?
Yeah, so they dropped it though, didn't they? So it went to what? There was just Constantine New 52, which I loved that series. Yeah. And then it went back to Hellblazer, and then they dropped it.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of in Justice League Dark, but then he left that as well. And then he's popped back up in the new Justice League Dark team, but he's not a major role in that. He's just there sometimes.
Yeah.
And they've changed his character quite a bit as well, so he's without magic.
Oh.
He was sort of dying.
And he's now headlining Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, the latest animated movie, the next of the animated movies from DC as well. Matt Ryan's voicing him again in that.
Very excited.
Actually, probably should have put that in the news section, but the trailer has just dropped for that today. I've not watched it yet though, but the actual proper trailer, not just the preview section from the Red Sun DVD.
Very excited. I feel like we need more Constantine back on TV as well.
We've not watched Legends of Tomorrow this season yet. This season has brought back Astra.
Is it?
It's absolutely full on in the lung cancer Astra storyline of Constantine. It's this season of Legends, from what I gather, is like full on with Constantine. It may be a subplot, I don't know, but there's a lot going on with him, and it's straight from Constantine comics. And the showrunner has said if it gets picked up for a Series 6, which actually I think it may have, and I've just forgotten. He's saying that in Series 6 he would like to go even more deep in on Constantine, so they're planning on keeping him around.
Just give him his own show back.
Supernatural is ending.
What would you... DC Universe.
Ooh.
That's where all the good shows are.
What would you score this out of 10?
So I'm going to give it... So the first 4, I'm going to say it's quite high, actually. I really look forward to it coming out, and I get quite excited about it. So I'm going to say... I'm not going to say 8, because you've given everything else an 8. I'm going to say 9.
Very nice. I have given everything an 8 so far this evening, yes. And where can the lovely super friends at home pick up this fine comic book?
Where all fine comic books are sold.
Which is comic book stores.
Yeah. Or online.
On Comixology. So this weekend just passed, I attended London Film and Comic Con. Now, second time in recent memory, I've attended a convention without you.
What was the last one?
MCM in October. I went with Matt.
Where was that?
Dunno. Not there.
Oh, I was teaching.
And where were you this time?
I was...
At a housewarming party.
Well, it was more of a brunch warming party.
You were celebrating brunch?
Oh, no, it was like a...
You mean it was a housewarming brunch?
Yeah, housewarming brunch.
That's being pedantic now.
But, I mean, by all means you can celebrate brunch, because who doesn't want an extra meal in the day?
Anyway, back on topic. I went without you.
You had the lovely Nicola.
I did have the lovely Nicola, yes. So she had the great pleasure of spending the entire of Saturday with me.
Girl.
From statues in the rain in Leicester Square to Onward at the Picture House, on to London Film and Comic Con Spring, and then finally to the Palladium to see City in Colour.
My God.
So I met her at 9:20ish in the morning and left her at 9:20ish in the evening, actually. So, because she had to leave early to get the train. So we had a good 12 solid hours in each other's company.
I feel like I need to give her something for looking after you for the day.
Like babysitting money. Thanks.
So I could go away and, have a grown-up's lunch.
Anyway, this was really interesting for a London Film and Comic Con. Universal had pulled out all the stops on their bit. You know how this one doesn't have a lot of the film studios normally? Universal seemed to be doing quite a lot, and I can remember that they did a lot last summer. The winter one didn't happen, and so this has been the first one since sort of July time. And there was a big Universal presence there again. So they had that booth that shows Universal trailers. They had the car from Skyfall, which was quite cool. And then they had this Bond exhibit. So Nicola and I all got a little bit freaked out when we got there, because we checked in at the press stand, and they were like, okay, so we're going to escort you over to the Bond stand, and what we're going to do, we're going to fast track you through, because we really want you to see what's going on in there, because it's all very cool. And we were like, okay, do you know that we're no one?
Oh no.
So we got fast tracked through. So the poor 60 or 70 people that were stood there queuing for it. And this is the really sad thing about it. On one side of the exhibit where they had people queuing, it was just normal barriers and a black carpet. And then on our tiny bit of carpet that was just the two of us, there were gold barriers and it was a red carpet. It's like, oh my God, people are going to think that we're I don't know, pushing in or something. So we were, anyway. The lovely Universal staff took care of us, and they were like, no, just bear with us a second. We've got a couple of people who are just going in, and then we're going to take you through, and you're going to sign up on this iPad, and then you're going to go in here. It's going to be really cool. And so basically what we did was we had to sign up as secret agents, have our photo taken, and then we went inside this room, which just had a green screen at the back of it, and then tape marks on the floor. I was agent number 1, Nicola was agent number 2, and there was...
number 1.
We were instructed as to what to do. So I had to go first, and I had to walk across the room. After 3 beeps, I had to just walk across the room from one side to the other. Then, after 3 more beeps, she had to walk from the other side of the room to the other side of the room. So, if we'd walked at the same time, we'd have crossed in the middle. And then we had to do the same thing again, only we had to run to the middle and then pose, and that was both at the same time. And then about half an hour later, we received a video over email that was basically like a mini trailer for the film with us being all Bond style. And as we left, they then printed us little ID cards that said we were now in the Secret Service. It's quite a cool video, actually. I quite like it. I've watched it quite a few times because it's quite funny.
It is quite funny. And do you know what it made me think of?
What?
Like some sort of 90s French and Sandra sketch.
It actually does look like that, doesn't it? Oh dear. There I was thinking that we looked effortlessly cool.
I mean, you did, but I was like, oh, that's really funny.
Because it's black and white and quite moody, isn't it? Yeah.
And you're just like, running.
Well, that's the thing, because Nicola was laughing because she's sort of walking in her bit, and then when it cuts from her walking to the next scene where we're both in it together, she's suddenly running, and she's like, oh, 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 oh. Yeah, funny. And we had to decide with about a fraction of a second to go as to how we were going to pose in the middle. But it was really good fun. And then obviously we walked around, we saw all the stands and everything. I didn't buy anything. She bought a Bulbasaur Funko. I nearly bought the entire of Birds of Prey because there was a really nice Huntress and Black Canary and Hartley, but they were like a tenner each, so I didn't buy them. Black Canary is very, very all the movie ones, not like comic book ones. The Black Canary was very cool, and they had an exclusive Huntress that was posing with her crossbow rather than just sort of standing. Not that much going on by way of guests, unfortunately. Quite a few of the American guests. So Hartley Sawyer, who's Elongated Man from Flash, and Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had dropped out. Don't know if that's a coronavirus thing or if there was just something else going on, but a lot of the American guests had dropped out. But there were still people there from Doctor Who, obviously, because there's always people from Doctor Who, and Star Wars, and the normal franchises that you get at London Film and Comic Con. I didn't see Bernard Cribbins.
Was Stormtrooper 74 there?
They had the Knights of Ren from the most recent one.
I never know how to... I don't know. Because you never see their face in the films.
I know what you mean, yeah.
So I'm a bit like, oh, it's...
We went to a couple of panels. I've never been to a panel at LFCC before. Yeah. So we went to one for, as I said earlier, not Gangs of New York, but Gangs of London, which is a new series by Gareth Evans. I thought Gareth Edwards, and I got confused and thought it was the director of Rogue One, but it's the guy who directed The Raid. He's got a new series that's coming onto Sky One in April, which is like a London gangland thing, but it's not a... I guess you probably would call it gritty, but it's not set in our London. It's like a slightly weird alternate universe, heightened London. It's not quite our London. They showed us a few clips, and it's brutal. Like, there was a scene that looked like it was from Titans. You know, when Robin smashed that guy's head across like a window and scraped his face down the wall. There was stuff like that was going on. It's pretty nasty stuff. And then we went to, more excitingly, we went to a panel for Audible, as in the audiobook people, Audible's Assassin's Creed Gold audiobook, which is available now, and stars Danny Wallace, which is interesting, but he's a voice actor in the games. I know him as the guy that writes that funny column in the free magazine they hand you on the tube. And Anthony Stewart Head. Giles. Giles was there. So you didn't know that he was going to be there beforehand. He wasn't an announced guest that you could see on the website. You couldn't buy a photo session with him or autograph with him. He was just there for that panel. So we'd seen, or I had spotted his face on a banner, and I don't think Nicola had seen it. And then we heard them over the tannoy say, coming up soon on the main stage is the Assassin's Creed Gold. And we heard Anthony Stewart Head. She was like, oh my God, Giles is here. And I said, I'm not sure that he is, or whether it's just a panel about something that he's in. So we Googled it. It was like, no, surprise, Anthony Stewart Head is at Showmasters London Film and Comic Con Spring. So it's like, quick, run. There was a really big queue for it, but we managed to get in, and we had quite good seats near the front as well. So that was interesting. He didn't, there was no time for him to talk about Buffy or anything like that. I think it was live streamed as well, so I think you can probably watch it online somewhere. It was all just talk about the fact that he's playing Sir Isaac Newton in this Assassin's Creed audiobook. It sounded really interesting, though. It might be something I have to give a go. I do quite like the games.
Give it a listen.
Yes.
Did you not try and listen to an audiobook the other day?
Yes, but I've realised I did it wrong.
What?
Well, so I listened to it through the Bluetooth speaker. Not through an... Oh, I nearly said a brand name. I probably can, because it's an independent podcast. I didn't listen to it through Alexa or through headphones. I listened to it through our van's Bluetooth speaker. Oh, yeah. And it kept skipping. And I just thought, this is a terrible quality audiobook. I have no idea what's going on here. And it just keeps jumping. So then I went and listened to it on headphones, and it was fine. So I think it was the Bluetooth aspect. So I need to go back and try it again. trying to think if there's anything else worth... Oh, well, obviously spoke to some cosplayers, including Pajama Boy Wonder, whose interview is in this very podcast.
That's almost like a perfect segue, really.
It might be. I haven't quite decided where I was going to slot it into the podcast yet, but this might be it.
Well, I thought you were going to do it here. Like, oh, we saw Pajama Boy Wonder. Here's the interview.
I'm not that well planned.
Wow.
So I caught up with him, which was really, really nice. I've not seen him since the Birds of Prey roller disco. So it's been a little while. Always nice to catch up. Friend of the show. I'm going to start calling people that now. Friend of the show.
Sounds very posh.
That's just me all over, apparently, isn't it?
Well, you said it.
You normally say it. I just beat you to it. That's probably it for London Film and Comic Con. It was really nice. We probably spent most of the day just freaked out about the fact that they'd escorted us round to James Bond, because it was a bit like, we don't get treated like this.
We had the press badge and everything.
I know, but it's just weird. I don't feel like that means anything. I'm just perfectly normal. Roll on their summer event. They've got some quite good guests for that one.
I'm sad I missed it.
It was a good one. It was a good experience. Shall I tell you some of the guests who have been announced for the summer one?
Oh, go on then.
So, we've got Clark Gregg, who rescheduled from not being able to attend this weekend. You've got Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, which is a big one for them. Robbie Coltrane.
Hagrid.
Yep. Barry Bostwick.
Well, I nearly shouted arsehole there.
You've done it now.
I've done it now.
Stephen R. McQueen. Not Steve McQueen. He's someone from the Vampire Diaries. You've got Emmy Raver Lampman from the Umbrella Academy. Mandeep Dhillon, who is in Star Wars. She appears to be some sort of Imperial officer.
Okay.
Matt Fraser from American Horror Story, who I think also had cancelled for this one. He's in Circus.
Oh, yeah.
Ashley Walters from Bulletproof and Top Boy. Noel Clark, who I think had also cancelled for this one. Clearly a lot of people rescheduled to summer.
Oh, Mickey.
Sam Humphrey. Not Sam Humphries, not Shumphreys.
Oh, that would have been exciting.
From The Greatest Showman. John Wesley Shipp, The Flash.
Oh.
Yes. Alan Ruck from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Alice Cooper. Ming-Na Wen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Mandalorian. Dr. Chen. David Ramsey from Arrow. Diggle. Harry Manfredini from Friday the 13th, composer of the soundtrack. You've also got Nick Frost. Danielle Nicolette. It's Joe's wife from The Flash.
Oh, yeah.
Cecile. You've also got Sacha Dhawan, who's from Doctor Who and Dracula. He's the new Master.
Oh, and what else is...
Spoilers.
Is he the one... He's not the man from...
From...
Iron Fist, is he?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I can't... I don't know, because he's got hair now.
Yes. You've also got Henry Thomas from E.T., Riz Ahmed from Rogue One and Venom. He was the pilot in Rogue One and also the villain in Venom.
Yeah.
So it's a really big guest for them. Kim Coates from Sons of Anarchy. Mark Boone Jr. from Sons of Anarchy, but also was Detective Flass in Batman Begins.
Yes, he was.
You've got Omid Abtahi from The Mandalorian. He's quite a famous actor as well. You'll know his face was kind of a character actor. Andrew Gower from Carnival Row. There was a couple of Carnival Row people at this one as well, actually. Dee Wallace from E.T. and Critters. Robert McNaughton, also from E.T. Scott Ian from Anthrax, the band. Just random. Meatloaf.
Meatloaf?
Yep. Meatloaf is on the list. Mark Pellegrino, not the maker of Lemonade. That's his cousin San.
Oh.
He's from Supernatural and Lost. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. Also, Amanda Tapping from Stargate SG-1. Ben Broder from Farscape and Stargate SG-1. Tom Skerritt from Top Gun and Alien. Veronica Cartwright from Alien. Jason O'Mara from Man in the High Castle, also the voice of Batman in a lot of the DC animated movies.
Ooh,
Claire Kramer from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Glory.
Not Glory. What's she doing these days?
She hosts loads of panels at conventions.
Oh.
She's like a panel presenter extraordinaire. Keep using that word today. Simon McBurney from Carnival Row. Misty Rosas from The Mandalorian. He's the little creature that he's friends with in the first few episodes.
He doesn't actually look like that, though, does he?
No, that's not. It's a picture of him in makeup.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You've also got Natalia Tena from Harry Potter and The Mandalorian.
Tonks.
Yep, she was unfortunately absolutely rubbish in The Mandalorian. Someone directed her to chew the scenery. Julian Glover from Star Wars. That was really harsh, wasn't
That was
it?
quite harsh. I'm like, my God.
Jesse T. Usher from The Boys. He is the Flash.
Not Flash.
Yeah, not Flash. You've also got David Warner from Tron. Julian Holloway from Doctor Who. Sylvester McCoy. Colin Baker. And Anjali Mahindra from Doctor Who and the Sarah Jane Adventures. Cosplay guests, wrestling guests, and comic guests are yet to be announced. So that London Film and Comic Con is on the 24th to 26th of July. So if you happen to be there on the Sunday, you can come and find us, if we're there, and say happy birthday, because it's my birthday that day.
Maybe that's what we'll do. That'll be your birthday treat.
Woo!
You'll have to ask the nice people at LFCC to invite you back again.
They're lovely people at LFCC. Actually, they were so welcoming. Aside from the whole escorting us to the Bond thing, they were really lovely and really friendly, as was absolutely everyone that we saw that whole day. So now we have something a little bit different for our podcast. As you know, we like to do an interview every now and then. We'd love to do more of them. I recently had the chance to sit down and chat over Skype, not physically sit down, with Chester, who some of you will know as Pajama Boy Wonder on Instagram and other social medias. He is a cosplayer who does a lot of very cool stuff. He's known for his Robin from Titans and Nightwing. He also does some very cool Ben 10 cosplays. So we sat down, actually this was nearly a couple of weeks ago now, so you'll notice we talk about London Film and Comic Con as something that's not happened yet. And we just chatted all things cosplay, which was really, really cool. So I'm going to throw over to myself in the distant past, and you can hear my chat with Chester. Enjoy. Chester, welcome to Get Your Comic On podcast. How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. So before we talk about cosplay and everything else, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into comics and these kind of characters that you've been cosplaying as?
I guess so I was born in 97, and kind of the main superhero for me growing up was Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Maguire Spider-Man.
Awesome.
So I really loved those films as I was growing up, like 1 and 2 primarily, obviously.
Yeah. 3 was not quite so good, was it?
No. But yeah, so it was 1 and 2 I really enjoyed. I even got, I think it was my 4th or 5th birthday, a Spider-Man suit, like from the store sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't think I have any pictures of it. I've said to my mum she's got any, because it'd be nice to do a little throwback or comparison.
Wow, so that's like your first cosplay was really early on.
I think so. Or my first cosplay was Neo from The Matrix. I can't remember which one came first. Because me and my dad really loved the Matrix films when I was younger as well. We used to watch them.
Oh, so what do you think about them doing a fourth one?
It's with the original directors, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's one of them, yeah.
Well, Wachowski, not brothers anymore, because one of them had...
it's now the Wachowski sisters.
But if they wrote the original comics and then directed the films, so I'm sure they know what they're doing. And it's taken so much time to do, so they've probably really thought it out.
I hope so, yeah.
It should be true to the original story, and all the original main 3 at least coming back, and I think Link is as well. So hopefully it does live up to what the original 3 were. Hopefully, I saw a picture released today of Neo on the back of a bike with Trinity, and he looks just like
doing some stunt work,
beard and all. But yeah, we'll have to see on that. But yeah, so it was my first cosplay, I guess, was Spider-Man, or then was Neo, because my nan was a tailor.
Oh, cool.
She used to work dress. Yeah, she was quite helpful. She taught me a lot of sewing growing up as well, which is coming quite handy now.
Yeah, definitely.
But she works for some really expensive dress company in London, and yeah, she helped make a Neo coat for a 4-year-old me.
Wow.
Which I think I went into like school on a non-uniform day. And to me, non-uniform day was, I'm going to dress up. So I dressed up as Neo to go into school in like leather trousers and this big long black coat and some glasses. And everyone else has just gone in quite casually. But there I was. As you get older, you're going to high school. If you did something like that, you definitely
maybe it doesn't quite work so much.
5 years old. Everyone thought it was like, oh my God, that's so cool. You're Neo. But yeah, so it was Spider-Man for me back then. Then my dad got me a couple of Spider-Man comics. He got a Spider-Man comic from the 90s. I don't know what issue it was. I've still got it under my bed in like a box.
Awesome.
He traced it out and put it on a projector, and then projected it onto a wall, and then kind of sketched it out, and then painted over it. So I had a massive Spider-Man on my wall.
That's really cool.
I was about 6 or 7. It was really cool. So I don't think I have a picture of it, but I do have the comic. I'll have to try and find it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was Spider-Man for me at the start. Started reading Spider-Man comics. Started watching films such as like Batman Begins. And I think that was the first one that I started getting into Batman a little bit more. Watching all of the old films from the 90s. And then started reading Batman comics. And I really started to like the character of Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about sidekicks, but I just seem to like them more.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I really love the whole Bat family. Kind of all the Robins bring something special to the table. So each of them do kind of have a special place in my heart to me.
Yeah.
Dick, probably the number one. I say probably, it definitely is the number one out of all for me. So I really liked Nightwing. Started reading a lot of the Nightwing comics. This must be about 2008-ish, 2010, something like that. Whilst following the Dark Knight films as well as they were coming out.
Yeah.
Created a little fan page on Facebook for the Dark Knight Rises as that was coming out, and then some other fan pages related to Bat Family and DC characters, and just kind of posting news, fan art, great art from comics and things, snippets from comics. But then for my first cosplay, I think it was, so my nan was a tailor, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I really love the whole kind of Ra's al Ghul storylines.
Yeah.
And although a lot of people do dislike Damien because he is a little bit of a brat, I really, really liked him because I have Turkish and Italian heritage.
Oh, okay.
And in my mind, being a little bit younger, I kind of thought, a little bit like Damien's got generally Arabic kind of heritage with Ra's al Ghul and stuff. Quite liked his look, and so I tried to think of myself as like a little bit of a Damian Wayne back then when I was like 12 years old. So I loved the Batman 666 storyline, Batman and Son.
Yeah, that issue is amazing.
It is really cool. It's a great introduction to him as well, and the whole relationship with Tim and how violent he is at the start as well, before he starts to train with his father. But yeah, I love the alternative future or possible future where Damian is the Batman.
It's cool that they've gone back to that a couple of times over the years as well and done other stories in it.
Yeah, there was they did one a little while ago. I think it was like 8 runs.
Yeah, they did. They did a miniseries, didn't they? That was back focusing on that timeline.
I'd love to see kind of like a crossover of that and Batman Beyond.
Yeah, that would be cool.
If they were, I don't know how you'd make them both canon really, but like a multiverse thing maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because Batman Beyond has its own comic run and stuff as well. Yeah,
it's a really good series actually. They've just Dick Grayson's just come back into it in Batman Beyond.
I love how he's only got one eye as well. It's kind of a little nostalgic to like Deathstroke and stuff.
Yeah, true. I hadn't thought about it like that.
But yeah, so I love that suit, and it was pretty much a trench coat, zipped up all the way, and then kind of like a skirt or a kilt instead of a cape, with the same old kind of at the bottom. So my nan made that for me. I think that must have been 2014. She made the trench coat for me. I'll have to find a picture as well. And I used some Batman Begins gauntlets because I really liked it was a very League of Shadows type of pattern.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
I love the blades on them as well. They look like they can actually do some damage.
Yeah.
And I got some ones that were more like the actual League of Shadows ones, where they kind of had some engraving on, not just the plain like smooth finish. So I had those, just some generic boots, and I got a Dark Knight cowl and neck piece. With all that together, and just a standard utility belt that you can, an actual practical one. I decided to go for a black belt instead of the kind of gold one to make it a little bit more tactical looking, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that was my first cosplay. I intended to wear it to MCM Comic Con in October of, I think it was 2014. But sadly, my friends who I was going to go with cancelled on me, and I'd never travelled up to London by myself or anything. So instead, I just wore it for Halloween, a Halloween party.
Yeah, good idea.
But the following year, I did actually go to the con in that cosplay, and experience my first Comic-Con, it was very interesting. I was just walking around and kind of seeing everything. It was just I was really shocked to see all these characters, like see a Kim Possible and be like, oh my god, I remember that show. See all the stalls, and yeah, it was just a completely different experience. And seeing all these other people who also love the same fandom as you, seeing like amazing cosplays. I remember seeing a 1989 Joker and a Batman. I think it was a Batman Returns Batman or 89. I can't remember now. It might make sense if it was an 89 one to go with the Joker. But it was so cool to see like these really high quality costumes, because mine was, even though it fit quite well, it was kind of a little bit baggy on some areas. And now when I look back on it, I kind of noticed that in some of the pictures.
Yeah.
The boots I had were just like hiking boots and stuff. But it was a really good experience. So since then, I think I've been to every London MCM. So after that, I went as Ra's al Ghul in the May, where I met Willa Holland as Thea Queen, where I think it was only a few episodes before where she actually got stabbed through the chest. By
Okay, yeah, it was around that time.
So when I saw her, she was like, "Oh my god, Stephanie's everything." The October after, I did a Red Hood cosplay, because in my mind, I never really thought if I wanted to do Nightwing, I wanted to make sure it'd be like I wanted to make sure I nailed it. I wanted to be high quality as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I didn't really have the skills to do that sort of thing at the time. And a Red Hood cosplay was a little bit easier. Your leather jacket. I think I actually had a red hood, but then also like a spray painted an airsoft helmet, tactical shin pads, and the armor was just some. It was just flat foam, but like panelled. And I was pretty happy with that. It was a year after that I did my first Nightwing cosplay, which, even though I just mentioned like I wanted to make sure I did it as high quality as possible, it was just a basic like gym gear type of.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And then I sewed on some blue, which kind of wrinkled up a little bit as well. It didn't look very neat because it was hand sewn.
Yeah.
And some cycling trousers and some boots. And I was happy wearing it, to be fair. I felt a little bit self-conscious because it was all very tight. I had been going to the gym a little bit, but not religiously or not with specific goals. And it kind of inspired me to do better from there.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting, actually. That's a fair point. That I suppose there's probably some people that just throw on the costume and are a bit like, they just immediately feel like they're in the character when they're wearing it. And then there will be those times where you kind of look at it and think, actually, I don't quite fit the costume that I'm wearing.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with if your say quality of costume is at that level sort of thing, and if you're not in the the superhero shape, which is nearly impossible. That's what it should be about, and don't worry about what other people think, sort of thing. But to me, I want to be as accurate as possible. I want people to see a picture of me or primarily they're scrolling through their feed, they see a picture of me and they think that it is that character, or
that makes sense.
That character from that show or that film, or that character's jumped straight off the page type of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of double take. So about a year later, I did I call it my Night of Bloodhaven suit from the old Chuck Dixon Scott McDaniel run, which gave him the classic like gauntlets on the forearms and pockets on the legs.
Yes.
Pockets on the forearm, gauntlets type of thing. And I puff painted it all, puff paint is it comes in a tube and it's quite liquidy, but a little bit thick, kind of like a mousse, I guess, or a caulk that comes out for like sealing bathroom tiles.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
It comes out in a little tube, like needlepoint, and then dries into a solid plastic. So the basic suit was lycra, and then I sewed on the blue again, made the pockets for the gauntlets and the shins, and then puff painted the whole thing to try and have this kind of 3D effect that would kind of look like loads of little lines. To kind of make it a bit more protective instead of just a plain old one shade black.
Yeah.
It's kind of give it a little bit more real world feel, which is I think it was just after Batman vs Superman came out, and the Batfleck suit had the same type of patterning.
Ah, okay, yeah, I can picture it.
So yeah, that was the first time I did that, and I really loved that suit. Sadly, it's got a little bit worn now because I've worn it quite a few times.
I was just going to say, do you keep hold of them all afterwards? Even some of the older ones that you maybe don't wear anymore?
I think there's any of... Oh no, I did a Green Lantern once, and I sold that because it wasn't to the level I wanted it to be at, and then I could put the money towards another cosplay.
Yeah.
But then after I did that Nightwing suit, which I still have, if I redid that suit, there would be other things I could change about. Like I only had 2 practical pockets on the forearms and 2 practical ones on the legs. But then the others were more just for show, just for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I'd make them all practical if I could. Use an actual sewing machine, and have a little bit more definition in the suit, because it was quite flat in some areas, I'd say. The zipper stood out a little bit on the back. I'd like to have the blue look a little bit more, because I didn't puff paint the blue. I just left that as the lycra that it was. I'd like to have a little bit of definition in that, maybe.
Okay.
That's the comics that got me into Nightwing. It's my favourite run of Nightwing as well, is the Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel, like 95 to 2003-ish run, I think it was.
Is that when he had the ponytail?
I think it was one of the first issues with Chuck Dixon that they cut off his ponytail. I think he had the
wasn't it?
Vivarium, and he was fighting some villains over a bridge, I think, and one of them accidentally cut it.
That was as they were kind of translating him out of the disco Nightwing era, wasn't it?
Yeah, that good old disco suit. And then he went back to kind of having quite long hair for your average person, but maybe just long enough if you wanted to put it in a man bun, it would just about do that. But he kept it down because obviously that's much cooler than a man bun.
Obviously.
But yeah, so I loved the style of that, and having the gauntlet and shin pockets. I just really love that look, because you get a lot of characters where you don't actually know where do they keep their stuff. Batman obviously, utility belt. There was some Nightwing runs. Like I love Jim Lee's art for Nightwing in Hush, but he didn't include the pockets.
It's a very sleek version of it, isn't it?
It is a very sleek. Yeah, I just love the way he looks in that. Makes mid-parting look really cool in his hair as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't have the pockets, but he did. I remember seeing one piece of art. It was like a sketch before the final sketch, and Jim did include the pockets. And I wish he did follow that through, because that would have been amazing. But yeah, I love the practicalness of that. The blue going across the chest, and down to the fingertips as well. It's quite unique. Then after that, the other Nightwings I've done is I can't remember what it is. The DC Universe animated movies that started with Justice League War, and then going on to Batman vs Robin. Nightwing had a great suit in that, and I was never a massive fan of the bird logo because I love the kind of V across the chest. But I really liked that suit, so I decided to do that suit. And instead of kind of puff painting, 50 hours or so it took on the old suit, where I had to take time out of seeing friends, like, oh, can you come out this evening and hang out? I was like, I can't really, because I've got to work on the cosplay. I kind of wanted to spend a little bit more money on it, but be able to have a bit more of a social life and do things outside of working on a cosplay.
That makes sense, yeah.
So there's a great company in France called Replica Industries, and they do a 3D printed fabric. So they kind of have the lycra or whatever fabric it is, and they kind of have whatever pattern you want, and they kind of put a squeegee across it, I think, and then it kind of leaves the mark of what you need. So it was the same type of pattern I got for them, and they sewed it for me over there as well. So that was a great base suit, which I used. I just pretty much had to glue on the logo. I just got it from Tigerstone FX. Pockets. That's probably my most practical suits, because the pockets on that. And then I've done another couple here and there, but then there was my Titans Nightwing suit. So that was the big one. As soon as they announced Titans and Dick Grayson was going to be in it, before they announced he was going to be Robin, or the Robin picture was released, I assumed he'd be Nightwing, and I kind of thought, okay, so I want to do this as high quality as I can, because this is going to be the first time my favourite character is going to become live action. I mean, we had Batman and Robin, where he had the red logo on the suit, which was very Nightwing inspired.
It was very strange that. That was, what was that, 1997, that film. So the year you were born, I was 12, and I wasn't into comics enough at the time to know that wasn't a Robin suit. I just remember thinking, well, that's really weird, because that's not Robin, but I didn't really know what Nightwing was at the time. And now looking back on it, I'm like, why did they put him in a Nightwing suit and still call him Robin? It's really weird.
You mentioned he was like, he quit at one point type of thing. Was like, I'll become my own person. I have my own signal in the sky.
Yeah.
Nightwing, or I can't remember what else he mentioned, but he mentioned Nightwing.
Yeah, he does. When he's trying to think of a name in Batman Forever, he's like, what should I call myself? Batboy, Nightwing.
Yeah, I remember that. Batboy, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
Gone with that. But yeah, so I think they were going to probably intend for him to become Nightwing, because he had the silver one at the end, didn't he? That was very
yes. That's the point where they were just making things for the sake of toys rather than for the sake of a story.
Yeah, so that was kind of, I guess, the first Nightwing suit. But so officially, the first Nightwing was going to come out in Titans, and I was really excited for that. And I've been in cosplay for a while, so yeah, I had that other suit that I mentioned earlier, the Replica Industries one, and I was like, okay, so I want to make sure that when this suit comes out, I want to do it as high quality as possible. So I started saving up a little bit into a separate account just to kind of put some money aside to probably work with Replica Industries again, because they make amazing quality suits. They made a really accurate Daredevil suit, and I was kind of hoping it would be the same type of suit. It's quite sleek, kind of got that sort of 3D printed fabric pattern that looks like it could take a couple of bullets or a couple of stabs, and a kind of thin paneling underneath like the chest in some areas. The original Nightwing suit was going to be in the finale of Series 1, but then they scrapped that. So I remember watching the Series 1, the official now Series 1 finale, which must have been like December 2018.
Yeah, it will be.
Seeing the suit and being a little bit gutted. But also I didn't have enough kind of money saved up to make it to the quality it could have been. But then, yeah, when it came out for Series 2, they couldn't have released it any better. Because when they released it, I mean, I told friends when San Diego Comic-Con was on and New York Comic-Con, I was saying like, okay, so if the suit comes out, literally call me, because it's the most important thing to me right now.
I need to know. I just need to see it as soon as anybody else does.
That is what happened. I think it was November 23rd, maybe, or 18th. I can't remember.
It was right before the episode aired, wasn't it? Because they weirdly went and did that strange launch sort of ceremony for the costume before the actual episode was out.
It was for episode 11. Oh, no, 12. Because the first thing was Nightwing. At 12, they did a little reveal at the end. But
yes, you didn't really see it, did you?
Yeah, you pretty much, it just turns and you don't really see what it is, but you see there's a mannequin there in a suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I woke up about 2:00, just middle of the night. Stanley woke up and I knew straight away what it was, because he wouldn't call me otherwise, I don't think, at that sort of time.
Yeah.
Turned on my Wi-Fi, a flood of messages from everyone saying, "Oh, you seeing this? Are you seeing this?" Lindy, Laura Jean Shannon was doing a live showing the suits and stuff. They literally had the suit underneath a blanket, a sheet, pulled the sheet off for a massive reveal, and you could see every detail of the suit.
Yeah, there was a lot that we got to see that first day in those photos. You could see pretty much every detail.
Literally, it was so good. I mean, there was the other suits as well, but you don't care about them right now.
No one was even looking at the other suits that were there. That was the thing. That was supposed to celebrate all the costumes of Titans, and everyone was just like, Nightwing. All I want to see is Nightwing.
They know what it's about. They know what we all care about. So about a month earlier, there was a really blurry leaked image of the Nightwing suit.
Oh yeah, there was, wasn't there? Yeah, from them filming.
I think it was from the finale shot where they're all walking together in the down the alleyway. As soon as it was released, I saw and I was like, "Oh my god, that is so much armor." It is a really. At first, I was a little bit skeptical because of how much armor there was, and even in the episode, he said, "Move more, get hit less." That was our mantra, and it's got less paneling, which I don't think really correlated with their costume team.
No, did it?
Definitely more armor there. So at first I was a little bit skeptical about that, but it did grow on me a lot more. They've got the blue finger strip, got it going blue down to the middle two fingers. I like the way they've made the shoulders blue. They've got kind of the old the late 90s Nightwing logo where the T kind of goes out into like that logo where it has that little dip in the middle.
Yes, they didn't quite do the full bird thing, did they?
No, they didn't do a full bird, and they didn't just do the V. They kind of did that in between look, which kind of like that logo, and a lot like the 1997 Robin suit, which was taken from that logo, obviously. So that kind of grew on me as well to have that. It's a great shade of blue, which varies in the light as well. I think the arms are a little bit lighter than the torso. And yeah, so definitely. And yeah, so I went from there, started speaking to the relevant people, and I said I wanted to get this done and made as soon as possible. Wanted to make sure it was as high quality as possible as well. I mean, I could have got it done quite fast, and then could post about it and such, but I wanted this to be like my suit I want to wear to like nearly every con. I want it to be,
I'm so going to be like the star piece.
This is the ultimate, been waiting for this for so long type of thing. But on the other hand as well, you get a bit of if you're the first to do something, you can get a bit more traction going for it. And although that shouldn't be the primary reason that people cosplay, there is a perk of, you get more traction going for it. You can gain more followers, and having more followers means you can get more great opportunities, such as being invited to premieres,
true,
items, or being able to promote things and work with great brands and things. So that is a factor of why I wanted the suit to be done so fast. I mean, I think there was a couple of people before me, and it was amazing. It was great work. I think they made it from scratch, from foam themselves. And I think there's a lot of tension apparently in some of the Nightwing cosplayers in the community. I've not ever had it myself.
Oh, really?
I've heard that some people can be a little bit gatekeeping about things and a little bit self-obsessed with stuff. So I've always tried not to be like that at all. And kind of, we all appreciate the same character here. We all love this character. Your suit looks great. I'll tell you it looks great. I don't want to go putting anyone down or anything. But yeah, so I commissioned 3D printed armor, and for the legs, I decided to go with foam because they're a little bit. You want to be able to move more a little bit.
I was going to say it probably gives you more freedom of movement, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so I had a friend in London, commissioned him to make those. And I think within 2 weeks, I had this suit ready. I started painting. Started painting all of that. Velcro on the back, the base suit, Velcro on that. That was quite hard to glue down as well and keep it all in place because it can't really sew through the scuba gear type fabric.
Oh, I suppose no. It's probably quite thick fabric, isn't it?
It was very thick, so the needle just wouldn't go through, and you can't really hold all the Velcro in place with the glue while it's drying.
Yeah,
got there eventually. I made the mask myself while I was waiting for stuff to be 3D printed and made. I previously bought some sculpting clay, made a mold of my face, some urethane and silicone, and been able to sculpt and make my own mask based off
that's pretty cool.
Nightwing suit. I was really proud to do that because that was the first time I've done anything like that. And yeah, then I spoke to a photographer who lives nearby. And last time I shot with him was about a year before, and kind of explained the situation to him, like I'll have the suit ready, sort of thing. I want to be able to get a shoot in. And I think the first Nightwing picture I posted was literally a shoot I did in my bedroom. We put up a backdrop. There wasn't enough depth to get a full body shot, so he was like in the hallway shooting through the door.
Really wide angle lens.
Yeah, it was quite hard to get it all in, but we did it in the end, and I was really proud of it. It's really hard to wear because it's all 3D printed, and I'm worried about things breaking. So I ended up going back to Replica Industries to get them to cast it all in urethane. So it should have a bit more movement to it, so I can actually wear it for a day at con instead of feeling like a statue.
Good idea.
They're working on that because the next time I wear it will be MCM May. I
was just about to say, is it going to be ready in time for May?
Oh yeah, it should be ready by the end of this month or the early next month, and then back to me. And then I think all I need to do then is just glue the Velcro back onto the back of it.
Yeah.
And that's it really. October just gone. I had I made a Titans group.
Yeah.
Of other cosplayers, which I was Robin, and that was really cool to do. So we're kind of doing that again in May, but we've got even more characters this time.
Awesome.
We've also got a Doom Patrol cyborg.
Oh, I love that outfit actually. I thought that was really cool how practical that costume was.
Yeah, it's quite easy because I mean, he's part human still, and he's just got like a jogging gear on, and then the helmet. And I love if you've seen behind the scenes, they kind of have like a magnetized piece of plastic that they glue onto his face, and then the actual 3D printed kind of armor piece for his face just kind of clicks on.
Oh, okay, that idea did it.
It's quite good. But yeah, in my mind, I kind of thought, even though Doom Patrol is a separate Earth from Titan.
Well, they would have been in that original season 1 finale, so it makes sense.
Anyway, I thought, Doom Patrol is pretty much the same on the other Earth, and they've got Cyborg, and you know what? Cyborg needs to be a member of the Titans. So I got
really does.
So I got basically a DC Universe accurate Cyborg to join us to kind of get more of the classic Teen Titans look going. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I've only ever done, I don't know if you even call it cosplay. I mean, I've got my Spider-Man suit that I wore once, which is just a Zentai suit, and I liked the fact that, particularly at MCM, from my experience of it, that the cosplay community was really welcoming of anyone that wants to try at any level of cosplaying, whether it's something that you bought, whether it's something that you tried to make and it, it might not look great, but they appreciate the effort. So I've always thought of it as quite a welcoming community of people. It's
quite good, especially in like big groups, like big Spider-Man groups and stuff. That you do kind of bond over loving the character. Sometimes you do get some people who are a little bit elitist, like they think they're better than yours because they've got a better quality suit or something, and they think that makes them better than you, which is a really bad train of thought and way to do. It's quite a shame. But no, it's quite a welcoming community as well. I've made a lot of great friends through the community that I have a lot of stuff in common with. And sadly, a lot of them all live all over the country and other countries. So you don't get to see very often. But that makes MCM that more, like con that more special. Yeah, it's great because you get to do that. You get to kind of see people that you've not seen for ages and meet up and do the whole, put the cosplay on. And it makes it more of a big deal for you then. Yeah, so instead of it just being kind of like you're in a hall, you're in a costume, it's you're seeing all these people you haven't seen for ages, and you're doing photo shoots with them, and all these pictures and memories you get to make with them and stuff. And well, that's why I love to stay at the con as well, because instead of just being there during the daytime, you kind of have the evenings together and stuff. And big thing. So one thing that I've always wondered just about the whole cosplay thing, again, it's something that I would like to try more, and I'm going to try and do more of it this year. But when you put that suit on, do you feel empowered by it? Do you feel like you are that character? I don't feel like I am that character. I still feel like I'm me, but I do feel really good to be in the suit. Once you've got the mask on, you've got everything on. I'd love to just do a flip type of thing. Yeah. Like a very circus style type of flip and stuff. It does feel good. You do get some people who stay in character for like the whole day. I have a friend who cosplays Batman, and he's come up to me before when I'm with my Titans. He's like, "I told you to shut this down." Oh wow. And I'm like, right, what? I don't really know how to act sometimes and stuff. And it is really wholesome when you do get like kids who really love the character and they want a picture with you, because in their mind you are literally that character that they see on TV or in the film and stuff, and that is just really sweet. Yeah, I had to sign a couple of autographs for kids when I was dressed as Spider-Man actually, and I was just like, this is quite cool actually. Yeah, it's really cool. It's just childlike innocence and stuff, and actually met Spider-Man and stuff, so it's really cool. But yeah, I guess I do feel a little bit more powerful, but then after being in it for a few hours, often a fair few of them can ache a little bit. I bet. A bit restrictive, like currently the Titans Nightwing suit being 3D printed after a couple of hours or an hour or so shooting in it, my shoulders started to ache a little bit, so I'm trying to hold them in a certain place. Yes. But then there's other suits like my Robin suit and my animated series Nightwing suit. Both of those are so comfortable. I've literally, after a con before, just like laid down on a bed in them, or so with friends, like you can just sit down, you can do pretty much anything in them. It's really comfortable. Oh, okay. Is there anyone that you haven't cosplayed as that you would like to? There is a little list I have of characters that I want to cosplay. I mean, I've done a few versions of Dick Grayson. So I've done, I did a Flying Grayson's version, which was from like the Bombshell, the Flashpoint Paradox series. I've not actually worn that to a con, but I do have the costume. I've taken a couple of pictures. I've done the 1966 Robin, done the Titans Robin now. Done the Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel Nightwing, animated series Nightwing, now Titans Nightwing. Did a red Nightwing once as well, kind of like possessed by Poison Ivy. Oh, that's cool. Kind of inspired by Hush, but then I thought red kind of makes it a little bit. I've been tempted to do like a Renegade Nightwing, quite like that storyline. Yeah. But I'd love to do a Green Lantern, but have the armor literally look as if it was glowing. So I'd have to. I've tried to look into it before. You kind of need like a clear plastic, kind of like acrylic, but a little bit more flexible, and kind of install LED lights into it. So kind of like it looks like it's actually energy, not that would look awesome. Fake chunk. So I've seen some people do like an armored Green Lantern with foam and stuff before. But to me, like what I want to achieve from it isn't something that's like completely solid. I want to be able to like kind of see through it a little bit. And I really like the Green Lantern movie suit because it looks like organic, the way it kind of flows. with the body and kind of
Yeah.
like sky through it. But then you can see that wasn't able to be practical itself, so it'd be quite hard to make kind of that as a base and then have the armored lights.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anyone that's tried to do that suit, and I don't think I have.
I mean, I did that for Green Lantern. I did not last year, the year before, LFCC, and kind of had some plastic kind of armor, and it was okay, but I don't know. That's why I sold it, because I wasn't fully happy with it. It wasn't what I wanted to achieve. Maybe one day I'll be able to. But I don't have that much of what I call like a dream cosplay I want to do. I'm working on something at the moment, which is quite a big build, and I want to do it right, which is Kevin 11 from Ben 10.
Okay, yeah.
So it's got 4 arms, it's got a tail, it's quite a big thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So I did like a Ben 10,000 last year, and I had like a heat blast arm, and I was really proud of how I kind of made foam look as if it was like molten lava.
I've seen pictures of it. Yes.
And I was really proud of that. So I'm reusing that arm as well, because that's conveniently the same arm as well. But I'm doing a diamond head arm, so I'm trying to make that look like as if it is a crystal, a little bit see-through. It's the same type of issue as the Green Lantern. It's kind of like to make it look smooth and a little bit see-through, but kind of a little bit of colour in there. So I'm working on that, and that'll be for MCMA. It's kind of a main thing. But now I've kind of done the Nightwing suit. That was kind of like the Titans Nightwing suit. It was kind of a lot was building up to that in my mind. Was first ever live action Nightwing suit, and I'm really glad I like it as well, even though I was skeptical at points. And there are improvements I would make on it, and there are some things I would prefer if they did. But you never know.
Yeah, you never know. The budget might get a bit of an increase.
Yeah, hopefully. And with the possible Bat family being built in the new Matt Reeves Batman film, I'd like to see Nightwing in live action, and hopefully, well, I mean, I say live action, I mean on the big screen.
Yeah.
And I can do those sort of things that they missed out on the series, the Titan series suit. I assume they wouldn't redo another suit for a good, to like series 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah, it's not like sort of the Arrowverse where they tend to make tweaks every season. I would imagine that Nightwing suit's going to stay as it is for a little while. Yeah,
because I mean the Arrowverse suits are all a lot like pleather and easier to make tweaks on that. I mean they did the Flash suit quite well. They've made a lot of changes on that. Yeah, that's one tends to get quite a big upgrade every year, doesn't it? But then the Nightwing suit, I imagine they'll keep, because they kept basically the same design other than the shoulders and then the type of materials cast in from the Series 1 finale to the Series 2 finale. Yeah, to me, I think the perfect Nightwing suit would be, I'd love to see a design that is more like the Daredevil Netflix series suit, or a little bit like Captain America films look to it, where it kind of has that kind of mesh fabric to it that makes it look a little bit like it could take a little bit of a beating. Yeah, a bit more street level. Yeah, still be quite sleek, but like Daredevil, I can believe can actually do flips and stuff in his suit. Nightwing, even though you see the stunt double do it, it doesn't look like he practically could. Yeah. That's not actually going to take a bullet. It isn't going to start bending when you do the flips and stuff, and going to be so restrictive over crunching your stomach and stuff and bending your arms. Yeah, there's just so many possibilities of stuff that they could do with it. Titans Nightwing suit, they drew a lot of. The more I looked at it, the more I saw different little areas that they drew from different comics, such as that logo. What else have I seen? There was. I can't think right now, but there is a lot of different stuff in that suit, and the sticks. The sticks are perfect. They are actually. When he got those out, that was just. I don't think I nearly fell off my seat in that scene when he does that. It was just perfect. They are literally. I love that they're electric as well, kind of like the Arkham games, like up a little bit blue instead of plain old sticks. But it's a little bit odd that he stores them on like his lower back, and then they kind of extend. I'd love to, because I love the silhouette of him kind of having them coming out of the top of his back and kind of going up about the same length as his head coming out. Yeah, it was. Yeah, to have them sort of where they were was a little bit odd placement wise, isn't it? Yeah, but that's just being picky, I guess. It's never going to be perfect, is it? It's never going to be perfect. You mentioned about kind of opportunities to do things like go to the Birds of Prey premiere that I know you were at recently.
When does stuff like that kind of kick off for you, and how did that kick off?
So I've had these opportunities primarily through my ex-partner. She had a bit of a bit because she has more of a following than me, and she was able to build up relationships with DC and Warner Brothers, who invited her and me as a +1 to some events, such as the Aquaman premiere. That was the first one we went to. That was really cool to go to. We didn't have to go in cosplay, but we decided to anyway. Walking on the red carpet, that was really fun. Kind of being there on the red carpet and looking out at everyone. It was like we were nearly going to be in the crowd as well, kind of with everyone. It was just really cool. But one of the best things we've done was Shazam.
Yeah.
That was really cool because there wasn't a premiere, but it was an early screening and a meet and greet beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Got to meet Zachary Levi and Mark Strong and Peter Safran, the producer, David Sandberg, the director, and loads of other people there. You know, it was free drinks, but sadly I had to drive, so I couldn't have a drink. But it was free drinks, free food. There was only about 20 to 30 people, mainly press.
It was a really select crowd.
Yeah, it was very small, but it was really good because it was small. Everyone seemed it was very casual and informal. Because it wasn't like kind of everyone queuing up to then meet a star. It was kind of like you were standing around and they'd go around and kind of start chatting to them, and it was just a really casual conversation about stuff.
That's really cool.
We didn't get to go to the meet and greet for that one, but we were there for the screening, and I knew a few people that were at that meet and greet with you, and we decided to think that you were going to a completely different screening room because it was like, hang on a minute, this film is literally supposed to start any minute now, and you guys haven't come back yet.
No one's there yet. Yeah, I think they always do that, though, don't they? They with like the meet and greets and the things. They're supposed to start at one time. They always start an hour later.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the Birds of Prey premiere, the live stream pretty much ended up getting cut off before they'd finished because they had to rush everyone in.
Yeah, the Birds of Prey premiere. So I had the opportunity to go to the Birds of Prey premiere through a friend who cosplays as well, and the deal kind of was we all had to kind of cosplay relevant characters, but no one could be the Joker, obviously, because it was all about Harley Quinn.
Oh, really? So were you specifically told that you couldn't be Joker?
Yeah, no one's allowed to be the Joker for this. And we were all kind of walked down while they're still setting up and put into a pen, I believe it's called.
Yes.
It was really cool because we still all setting up and kind of lifting up the plastic that they had over the yellow carpet. It was so they didn't want to get dirty before the stars went down. And then I was like, oh god, we're going to be locked in here for the next 2 hours. You see all these people walking down, and Margot was getting. So we met Janae Bell. She was really lovely to meet. It was only quite brief. But Margot was coming down, and she was getting kind of a little bit hassled by fans, like people really pushing in front of each other, and security. There was 4 security guards around her, and remember this one guy at the back really pushing his way forward from like further down the end. I think she kind of missed him, and he carried on pushing his way down to like get the opportunity.
Oh god, yeah.
The security guard was really shouting at him like he needs to back up. He's not going to get this sign. Just like stop crushing people. And they were trying to rush her down because I think they wanted to get her in. And I thought, oh my god, by the time she gets to us cosplayers, she's going to be like rushed down even more. I'm not going to get an opportunity to like say hi or anything. So I got my phone out and my camera ready. And as soon as she got there, she actually stopped. And in my mind, I'm just straight away just say, can I have a selfie, please? Can I have a selfie, please? And she started saying something like, oh my god, that looks great. And then went to go on to say something else. And I just cut her off mid-conversation. Like, my brain was already going there. And then she kind of paused and looked at me like, because I cut her off. And I was like, oh my god, what have I done? But I got a selfie with her and she was absolutely lovely. She was very sweet. And she had a lot of time for us all in cosplay, which was really nice. Good. But yeah, I felt like a complete idiot that I'd cut her off midway through a conversation. But yeah, she went down and she was excited to see everyone. And then she got a group selfie with us all at the end. Like security was telling her to go in like now, and she was like, "No, like these guys have put a lot of effort in. I'll stop. I'll stand for another second and take a selfie with them." So that was really appreciated. And then after that, we got to go in and see the film.
That's so cool.
Inside where it was warm because it was very cold outside.
Yeah, it was not a nice day for it. At least it wasn't raining, I suppose. But
yeah, it wasn't raining, luckily. But yeah, then we got to see the film, and it was a great experience overall. Such a great day to do all that sort of stuff. And yeah, see the stars. Yeah, and then you saw it a couple of days later, didn't you? An early screening.
Yeah, so I saw it the Tuesday after. I'm never going to stop pinching myself about the fact that we get to see some of this stuff early. It's so cool.
It is so cool. It is such an amazing thing. Like Batman Hush, I think that's where I kind of first met you.
Yes, yep. I remember seeing you in that one.
I think I must have seen, I don't know what I saw you at before, but I think I saw you at Batman Hush, and I thought you looked familiar or something. Maybe I must have seen you at another event.
Yeah. I'm trying to think there's just been so much DC-wise. They're amazing at doing stuff like this for all these film releases.
It is really good. Yeah, it's great opportunities that they do give to the fans. There was this one guy at the roller disco as well, actually. I don't know. He saw I was with a couple of people, both dressed as Harley Quinn. And he went up to one of them and said, "Oh, you're dressed very interestingly. What are you dressed as?" And
Oh dear.
like, Harley Quinn, from the film we're here to about.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh no, I didn't know that's what she looked like." I was like, "There's literally a poster right there."
Yeah, that was an interesting crowd at that event. Actually, it's weird because when you think that the stuff like Batman Hush, that's those of us that are really into it and either kind of from the cosplay side of things or like fan journalism side of things, whereas that roller disco was a mix more of like our crowd and more of the kind of social media influencer crowd.
Who kind of?
And hence with like the Love Island people, a lot of them were at the premiere as well, which I guess is like, even though they don't have necessarily a fandom for it or anything, they have a big following. They're going to post it that they're there.
So actually, the last thing I was going to ask you was where can people see you next? But I guess that would be, are you going to do any cosplay for LFCC or is it going to be MCM next?
Yeah, LFCC, I want to do a kind of casual cosplay. So I'm doing kind of like inspired by my Ben 10,000, just like a Ben 10 cosplay, a bit of a different Omnitrix and trying to look a little bit more tactical with it, really, because obviously I'm not 10 years old, so a little bit more grown up look.
Yeah.
So that'd be quite a casual look for that. After that, I am guesting at BathCon for the Sunday of next month, part of
Nice.
Creed Conventions, which will be Sunday let me just double check. Sunday the 29th at BathCon for the whole day on Sunday. So you'll see me there. And then after that, I don't know what other plans I have other than MCM May, where I'm there for the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Maybe going to Cos Expo in April, but I'm not 100% yet. So yeah, that would be the next places I'm definitely at.
Awesome. And actually, one thing we definitely should not forget is just tell people where they can find you on social media.
Of course. So I primarily use Instagram as my form of social media, which is at Pajama Boy Wonder. So it's Pajama, is it underscore? Pajama _ boy _ wonder. And that's where I primarily post all my stories and new cosplays and older cosplays, pictures and stuff on my feed. And then my email and stuff's on there if anyone ever wants to contact me.
Personal appearances. Birthday parties and bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for joining us. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon at a convention.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
See you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Next up in the film reviews is another one that I went to see without you. Not because you didn't want to see this one, but just because I was Nicola's +1. Thank you very much to Nicola from We Have a Hulk. So next up, I'm going to talk about Pixar's new film, Onward, which stars Chris Pratt and Tom Holland.
Destiny awaits.
Okay, I'm coming.
I see you've brought sustenance for our adventure.
No, it's garbage for the trash can, and you left the lid off. Oh, shoot! Get out of here! Shoot! Get out! Ugh, unicorns.
We're going on a grand and glorious quest.
It's not a quest. It's just a really fast and strange errand.
It's totally a quest.
Onward is directed by Dan Scanlon. It stars Tom Holland as Ian Lightfoot, Chris Pratt as Barley Lightfoot, Julia Louise-Dreyfus as their mother Laurel Lightfoot. It also stars John Ratzenberger, Octavia Spencer, Mel Rodriguez, Lena Waithe, Ali Wong, Tracy Ullman, and George Pizarras. The film is released in cinemas on Friday. I don't even know what date it is on Friday. Friday, the 6th of March, 2020.
I've not heard much about Onward.
Really?
Well, you don't really see a lot about it. I've not seen it in the press.
I actually had this conversation with Nicola as we were leaving the cinema. I did say that I don't feel like people are very aware of it, considering it's a Disney Pixar film.
I'm not aware. What's it all about?
Alfie.
Oh, I did sing that in my head.
So it's about two brothers, Ian and Barley. So Ian's played by Tom Holland and Barley's played by Chris Pratt. Ian is the younger brother of the two, and it's his 16th birthday. And he finds out on his 16th birthday... so their dad has passed away at some point. So Barley, Chris Pratt's character, has 4 memories of his dad. And they were raised by their mother, who's played by Julia Louise-Dreyfus. And it's Ian's 16th birthday, and he finds out on his 16th birthday that he has a present from his dad. The mum's been keeping it in the loft, and she wasn't to give it to the boys until both of them were 16. And it's a magic staff, and with it is a note that basically says that they can have their dad back for 24 hours by casting a spell. And they cast it, and it goes wrong, so then they have to go on a little treasure hunt to find a gem to help complete the spell. But it's actually basically Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So all the creature designs are kind of based on creatures that you would find in Dungeons and Dragons, and the quest that they go on is very much a Dungeons and Dragons quest. And there are lots of... I don't think it's actually... it's not officially adapted from Dungeons and Dragons, but everything will be familiar to you as a D&D player as they go on this quest to find this magical item.
Interesting. I'm sure it's a much more child-friendly version of Dungeons and Dragons.
On the whole, yes. It doesn't shy away from parental loss. So they don't gloss over the fact that the dad has passed away.
Well, I hope not. It's the main part of the story.
It is the main part of the story, but it's not like it's presented in a way that it's like, oh dear, the dad is gone. It is... A whole part of the story is about how Barley didn't say goodbye to his dad when his dad was ill and dying. And then the whole idea of him coming back even for a short period of time. And amazingly, it's not predictable either. So, it being Disney Pixar and me telling you it's about a parent who's sort of not in their lives, how are you thinking it might end?
Well, I don't know, because I think Disney are quite clever, well, not clever, but they're very sensible in that whenever they tackle these issues, they do them really well.
Yeah.
And they always have done it really well. Like, Bambi's mum died.
Never seen it.
Have you not seen Bambi?
Well, I probably saw it when I was 4, but not within living memory.
But that's really sad, and it's really obvious that that's what's happened, because, the gun goes down and then somebody has a venison burger. But then you've got things like Lion King, where Mufasa, he's gone. Yep, thank you. What else? There's lots. They're not up. God, up broke me.
I looked up at the ceiling. Then what is it?
Up. It's an old man.
True. You are right. They do know how to handle it, and so if any part of you goes into this film thinking, "Oh, the dad will just be alive at the end," then I'm sorry, you'll be sorely disappointed.
But it's a very important thing to normalise these conversations.
There's even an LGBTQ character in there, which was just dropped in really casually and very, very normal, which was quite nice for a Disney film, because Love Simon, now known as Love Victor, has been shunted off Disney Plus because it's not family friendly. However, there's films in there that have graphic violence.
Don't get me started on that one. But they've won me over. Normalising death. Well done.
Yeah, it's handled really, really well. So there's a quest. There's dragons, fighting, swords, adventure, and there's a nice beating heart underneath the story as well. There's great characters, and it's really, really nice. I got choked up a couple of times watching it. That was the dead parent effect.
But it's good to normalise these conversations.
Absolutely, it is.
As I say to my students all the time.
Normalise.
Yeah. Well, not like that, but we have a grown-up discussion about these things.
It was interesting because we went to a child-friendly screening of it, which is why I came home on Saturday with a glittery tattoo of Tom Holland's character on my hand.
It's just another day. I didn't think to question it.
I wondered whether there would have been any kids that were really sort of upset afterwards, or parents that looked a bit worried about any awkward questions that were going to come their way, but everyone seemed perfectly normal afterwards, and the kids all loved it.
I suppose kids don't really think of death as a bad thing because they don't know how to react to it until we tell them how to react to it.
It's very true.
So if it's one of those things where you don't talk about it, then you're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you do it, if you normalise it early enough, then it's fine.
It's fair enough.
It's very matter of fact, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking this into a whole other place now.
Oh, that's fair enough. This is the point where you asked me what my highlight moments were.
Yes. What were your highlights?
There's a lovely dance sequence with the dad's legs, because that's the only part that they managed to bring back when they do the spell the first time is his legs. His upper body is completely missing. And it's really nice the way they are able to bond with their dad, even though it's only half of him. So they communicate through Barley tells a story that when he was a kid, he used to drum on his dad's foot. He used to sit next to him and just go. And so that's how the dad knows that he's come back when there's only half of him. They're sentient legs. Some suspension of disbelief is required. So he taps on the dad's feet, and that's how the dad knows it's him. And obviously the dad then doesn't know the younger one because he didn't really have a chance to know him. So you get all these nice moments where he reaches out and touches him with his foot, and it's like, oh, there's two of them there. And they still manage to convey a lot of emotion, even though it's just a pair of legs.
Interesting.
So then there's a sequence where so they drive around in a van, which is that van I was taking pictures with in Leicester Square on Saturday. They drive around in Barley's van when they're on their quest, and the dad likes music and can feel the vibration of music, so the legs start dancing, and then they all end up dancing together, and it's a nice bonding moment for the two of them with the dad, which is really nice. I thought something else I was going to say then that I really liked. Actually, I really, really liked how grown up the third act is when they have the kind of the big fight and what happens during that. I'm not going to spoil it because it's not out yet, and that would be pretty harsh to go, hey, this is what happens. But it gets you right in the chest. It does. It gets you right in the chest.
What were your scores on the doors?
I haven't written my review for this yet. I'm probably thinking an 8.
Very high.
Which would be the third film in this podcast that I've given an 8 to this evening.
Very original. What was your...
Eights across the board. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, it's like a stuck record there. Did you do a social media review reaction?
Ooh, I did. I wrote it while sat watching a panel for Gangs of London that's coming to Sky One in the very near future. So, my social media review for this, I said, Disney UK and Pixar's Onward is a true gem of a family film. Earnest, funny, and at times breathtakingly emotional. It challenges archetypal family roles in the best ways possible, and the bond between Tom Holland and Pratt... Oh, I'm reading from Twitter. So I'm about to say, and at Pratt, which is his username, is excellent. That was my social media reaction for that one. It was genuinely, for a film that I didn't really know what to expect from. It was very touching and rather emotional.
They gave you all the feels.
It did, all of them and more. And I got free popcorn and 2 free bags of crisps and a can of water and a cup of tea because there was also free breakfast. I didn't tell you this. We had Danish pastries and cups of tea while we were waiting to go in.
Tea?
Yes.
Very civilised.
I know. Disney Pixar's Onward is in cinemas from Friday, March the 6th. And I cannot recommend it enough, which is, again, the third time I've said that this podcast, because I've reviewed 3 films that are all flipping awesome. So, great week, actually, or great couple of weeks, should I say, for cinema. And that, I think, just about wraps it up for this episode. what's coming up in the next couple of weeks? Well, I mean, we've left it 3 weeks since the last episode, which is a bad thing, but, we're trying to be better and, stick to the regular schedule that I planned at the beginning of the year. Loads coming up for... Actually, again, for me in the next 2 weeks and not necessarily you.
It's just like our lives, really.
No, it's horror films. So this... Well, actually, it's not just horror films. So this week, I am going to see My Spy, which is the new David Bautista film. Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. You can't make it because you have teaching things. Next week, I'm going to see not one, but 2 films next week now. I'm going to go see The Hunted, which is a new horror film from the makers of The Purge. And Damon Lindelof, that wrote the Watchmen TV series, is working on that film. And I'm also seeing A Quiet Place 2 next week as well.
Have you seen A Quiet Place 1?
Yes, it's an excellent film. So I can't wait to see where it goes with this sequel. TV-wise, we're nearly at the end of Picard.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, I say nearly at the end. There's 4 left.
Oh, not that near.
We've got 1 month to go.
That's a month.
We're over halfway. So we might have a little catch-up about that one. And I promise more comics content because we've just been neglecting the old comics because there's been so much going on in the world of film.
I've not been reading a lot. I've been reading a book.
Well, you can talk to the lovely listeners I have about a book if you wish.
Well, they might not want to hear about a book.
I'm sure they're open to it.
Oh, well, have a look. I'll have to read it quick.
You'll have to read it quick, yes. So that's it for us from this mammoth of an episode. Thank you again to Chester, Pajama Boy Wonder, for letting me interview him and having a nice Skypey conversation. It was very good fun. If any other cosplayers are listening to this and, want to come and have a chat to us about cosplay, I'm really interested to hear all about that whole community of people and just the wonderful creativity that goes on within it. So just get in touch, give us a shout, we'll get you on, we'll chat, we'll see what's going on. Until next time, thanks very much for listening. Bye.